What's good, YouTube? You're back on S Motorsports. Today we're going to be getting accessories on the front of the LQ4 build engine. So guys, welcome back to the channel. If you haven't seen my engine build yet, if this is the first time joining in, she's looking pretty sweet. Make sure to check out the 6.0 LQ4 playlist. I'll link it up here. But today what we're working on, as you can see, we're pretty far along at this point. Now I'm working on accessories. I need to get the alternator and power steering pump mounted. I am planning on using the factory truck AC compressor bracket and mount. So let me show you what I picked up and my plan, and hopefully maybe some reasoning why I'm doing this. So these are the parts that I picked up, and really this is kind of the star of the show. It is the cheap eBay mounting kit for accessories. And this is the truck spacing. I'm using the factory AC bracket. This is my old alternator that I had on the Trans Am, which was already an LS style alternator. And this is a 145 amp alternator. That's why I want to use that versus the one that came with the engine. It's actually looks smaller. It's a smaller frame. I'm guessing it's like a 110. So the only question I have that I'm not sure if it's gonna work or not, I kind of think it's going to just from holding stuff up, is this is actually an old power steering pump that I had on the Trans Am, or it came off in a small block Chevy. It was either off the first engine or second engine that I had in there. And as you can see, that's a little different than what the power steering pump is that came off the truck. So if we pan to that, this is the one that came off the truck. As you can see, it's angled different and comes out because as that's sitting on the truck, it has the power steering fill sticking out over here. And that pump that I have, the truck pump, is pretty crappy. So I don't really want to use that one. Plus it's got this extra return for the hydro boost, which I'm not using. So I want to see if I can use my old small block Chevy pump, as it's the same pump and I have a different fitting to put in the back anyways to get the flow and pressure just right. I could have used the factory bracket, as you see here. This could have worked. I could hack. My original plan was to hack this bracket up and then have the alternator on that top hole and kind of swing it down to get it lower. If you put this up otherwise, the alternator gets pretty high and it's kind of the highest point of the system. Otherwise it's way up here, and that more than likely would hit my Trans Am hood. I briefly held the new bracket up and it kind of puts the alternator more in this position, which should be, probably like 2 inches lower would be my guess. I think we'll hold that bracket up to the old one and kind of see how it matches up, but I think it's gonna work good. So let's have at her. We're gonna start assembling the new eBay bracket onto here and start seeing how things look. So like I said, I got this off eBay. It was already coated black for me, which was nice. This is my old idler pulley from the engine. It is toasted, but I have a new one on the way, so this is just for mock-up. This is the old bracket that came with the engine. My buddy Steve from Build Season, I'll link his channel up here as well. He has a nice Harbor Freight whatever sandblaster, and that worked wonders. It allowed me to sandblast the pulley, this guy, to clean everything up good and make it look brand new, honestly. So first, let's hold this up so we can maybe get an idea. Oh yeah, okay, so it's gonna look similar to this. So don't mind all the crap on here. So as you can see, it's probably a little bit higher than where this point would be. But from other videos that I've seen where you reuse this factory bracket, the alternator looks like it should be pretty level in terms of like where it's positioned here. It should come straight off. and so this is gonna be mostly the highest point. Whereas if you use this one, you can cut this out some here, but it still doesn't swing down totally out of the way, so the alternator's still kind of positioned up. So it's probably a horse apiece of what works, but I don't know. This seemed like a pretty good route, and I definitely was not gonna be able to run my old power steering pump with this setup, as that fill cap wants to live like right here. So that obviously was not gonna work. On this one, I think it's gonna live right here. And if nothing else, if I can get my hand in there to get that cap off every now and then, that'll be just fine, because you kind of fill it once and then you don't really touch it. So let's start assembling this and see what it looks like. So I got you brought in real close so you can see what's going on. Again, this bracket is gonna live right about there. So this kit comes with all the spacers, no directions. I did kind of find online doing some YouTube searching and stuff, how these go. So it's kind of see what matches up. So I think what we can do to start off with, these right here, this little washer is for the idler pulley, and these small ones are for the power steering pump once you install that. So let's set those aside. They also give you all the hardware as well, which is really nice, as these are, I think, 130 millimeter long bolts. These are actually, you know, what I could find, these are, I don't know, not that cheap of bolts. It says they're 10.9. Otherwise, the cheapest I could find them online was like $3-4. So I don't know, it doesn't seem like that bad of a deal, is what I'm saying. You got the 3 long bolts, and then you have a few shorter bolts. These are for the alternator, this size. I don't know what they are, but, and the nuts, those are to hold the alternator on, so let's just set those aside. I know a long one goes in this very bottom hole. If you can see that down here, this is where a long spacer and a long bolt go through. So that goes through the bottom here. Then we get a spacer on the back. As you can see, that's about the right length then. So we're gonna start that in and just get this thing positioned. That at least kind of holds it in place. And I might have to run a tap through that, because I don't think that goes all, the old one probably didn't go all the way through. Oh, geez, it's like a church bell. And then I know this upper one gets a long spacer as well, and a bolt. Actually, I should probably put some anti-seize on these to help those go in better as well. I think I'll do that quick. Okay, a little thing to help is just a tiny dab of anti-seize on the thread. Honestly, it doesn't take that much. It's just to make sure you're not galling up the threads, getting it seized when we're going into the aluminum heads with a steel bolt. So that one, it's gonna live right in here. This gets a long, so as we put the bolt in, we'll put a little anti-seize on that right away. So as we put the bolt in, we're gonna do bolt 2-inch spacer. That's for the alternator basically. And then you get the bracket, goes in between there. And then this other like 1.5-inch spacer would be my guess. So that goes all the way in. Just gotta leave that loose. And then this guy down here, for this one, this just gets a spacer and a bolt only through this bracket. So this one goes like this, goes through the bracket. Oops. All right, I'll bring you in close so you can see this. So now that I got everything kind of loosely assembled, you can see we got like a 1.5-inch spacer there and there to space this single bracket off. We got like a 2-inch spacer here. The alternator is gonna mount here, and mine is a small pad, so it's gonna use these holes, and it also does have the large mount hole. This is a threaded hole where your idler is gonna go, and then your power steering bracket bolts on. So, I mean, honestly, this is all the hardware we have left, which is for the pump, and then that's for the alternator. I mean, that's it, besides like tightening it up. There's really not much to it. So let's get everything kind of cinched down. We'll mount the alternator in loosely first and the pump, and then we'll kind of cinch everything down and see how it looks. So I'm gonna just kind of mock this up. I gotta clean this up yet from my car. I can shine this up a little bit since everything else is looking nice and shiny. The only modification that I need to do is when it was in the Trans Am, I actually cut this ear off. So this is 1 inch and I need 1 inch spacer, which I did buy some. That's the only, normally you wouldn't have to do that. Oh yeah, I was gonna put the spacer in, but I need to drill that out yet. So I'll just put the bolt in here basically to hold it in position right now. As you can see, the alternator sits pretty flat up here. So yes, this is like the highest point, but the alternator is basically below that, which let's get a level here. I don't think I have my big level in here. I got my little torpedo though. I don't know if you guys can see that on a level. Oh, you can't. But it's actually pretty dang level. So that's about perfect. I mean, the alternator is out further. Obviously the intake's gonna be coming here, but I don't think we're gonna have any hood clearance issues with it mounted like this. So that makes me happy. All right, now we're gonna mount the power steering pump. This is probably the one I'm most curious in. Again, on this power steering pump as well as the truck one, this pad is higher than these two, so these two get the longer spacers out of the 3. I mean, this is basically all open, which is kind of sweet because that kind of, I think, will allow multiple pumps to fit. Whoops, what am I doing? This bolt supposed to be there. Spacer on this side. That would work better. And spacer down here. I do need to clean up this pump a little bit, as she is kind of dirty. Whoops, what the hell? This, oh. Huh, that's nice. All the bolt sizes are totally different. Man, that actually fits really good. Huh, that's funny. So this cap, let me pull you in here. All right guys, look at how this fits. You can see the cap is literally right through there, which the idler is gonna cover that up. But I mean, look, I can get access to it. And honestly, you could just, look at that. You can just fit your hand in. It's kind of tucked in there. The truck one would normally sit right here, which is totally fine. You'd still be able to get access to it, but I basically don't want to buy a new pump because that one's kind of trashed. This one's a lot nicer, a lot less rusty. So I can still get in here and I can snake that out. I can easily fill it with a funnel from the top. So, hey, this is a win. That should be no problem. And honestly, it's hidden really good. You're not even gonna be able to see it. And this, I like this return hose actually better. It's just kind of tucked in there more. So we do have to add the bracket that will go from this bolt to here. I'll show you that. So here's that bracket. We get that. So this bracket goes on like, snake this in. Oh yeah, just like that. So that'll fit. And then I don't know if I'm gonna trim that down or not. I might put another bolt. Really, this is just to keep this point right here from flexing in and out. I think I might honestly just leave that hanging like that because I don't really want to hack off that bracket in case I case I do switch to the truck pump later on or something. But I might mount something down there too, I don't know. But honestly, that'll work good. That just keeps this point and this point of the bracket from flexing. So now you're tying in from here to the block to keep this nice and sturdy. So you do want to put that bracket back on. But I mean, honestly, this can't be working out. Don't want to say it any better, but it's looking pretty good. And really, I just want to get this done so I can figure out my belt length and get a belt ordered and get all those minor details tied up. So the pulley, like I said, mounts right here. This is a total trashed pulley. Oh yeah, I forgot the spacer. So you have to put the spacer behind here like that to get the right spacing. But then, like I said, I have a new one of these pulleys on the way. This is just to mock it in. So that should work pretty good. I'm just curious about, let's wrap a belt around there and see where it's gonna pass this bolt, as I was maybe a little concerned about that. This is my old belt. I'm just using it for mock-up, obviously. Let's see, so we're gonna be going around the power steering pulley down here. It's gonna come like that. Gonna wrap around the alternator. It's actually, we can route most of this, honestly. You can see that's how it's gonna go past. That honestly works pretty good, I think. That's roughly where it's gonna go. As you can see, it's passing that bolt. I think we are good there. And then we are just skimming by. I was worried about if this is too long of a run too, but I honestly think I had a longer run on the Trans Am than that for the alternator before, so I think that's honestly gonna be just fine once I get some actual tension on this belt. I think it'll be fine. As you can see, I'm just holding it there. It's gonna go down. That is how my belt is gonna route. So what I'm gonna do is the next point that you're gonna see it will hopefully be painted power steering pulley, so I can basically get this on for good and put the pulley on. We'll lock it into this bracket at that point. Clean up the alternator. I have a new one of these coming in the next few days, and then we can actually measure the belt to get one on order for the right length. So yeah, this is looking good. And then obviously, I think I'm probably gonna end up taking the whole front accessories off when I'm putting it in the car, just to make it easier. Obviously this has gotta come off. And I think I'm probably gonna take the water pump out as well to put it in the car, just because it'd probably be easier to install once it's on the car, to make sure we don't have any issues. All right guys, it's a few days later and I got everything buttoned up. As you can see, it is looking awesome. It is just how I pictured it. I got the pulley installed on the power steering pump, and I think it worked out really good. As you can see, I got maximum clearance here. This is using the old small block Chevy pump that I had out of like an old truck. You know, the bearing and everything looks way better than the one that came off the donor engine. And with this bracket mount system, I'll still be able to get my hand in there to fill it up and everything. So I don't think that should be a problem. I got the alternator pulley painted and on. One thing I did notice an issue with this, hopefully, you know, basically I'll have to see once it's running, but if I spin this, you can see there's a tiny bit of wobble in it. And this is a new pulley that I painted. The paint job's kind of crap, but I think the pulley is good. I think it might be the shaft of the alternator is bent. So I'm guessing it was like that on the small block as well, and I didn't have any issues, so we're gonna run it. But I got a new idler pulley installed, and obviously I got a new belt on here, and the length for the belt, which worked out perfect, is 79 inches. As you can see, we're, you know, more or less centered in the tensioner. It's more towards the end of the travel, I guess. So that's it for today. Thanks for joining in. Let me know what you think, if this looks like a pretty sweet setup to you, or if you would have did something a little different. But I'll put the links in the description, obviously, for this mount. I think it was super cost effective, and honestly, I'm happy with how it turned out. So I would definitely do it again. Let's just say that. So we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for joining in, and make sure to subscribe and give this video a big thumbs up. All right, peace.